in this video, I meet a Raver Tots founder, Mike Pickets, to discuss how it came about, his origins, his upcoming festival, promoting in general, putting on parties for kids and adults as well, and generally creating a brand. Let's dive into this. Hey Mike, how are you?
Really good, thank you, mate. Yeah, good to speak to you.
Yeah, pleasure. I've wanted to do this for such a long time. I've been, as you know, I've been to a couple of the parties with my daughter. I'm a big fan of what you do. I love the brand. I think it's incredible that everything you put into the parties is amazing. And I really, like I said, I really wanted to have this conversation for a while because I really am a big fan of what you've achieved.
No, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good that you've been down and you've experienced it for yourself. So yeah, no, I'm really glad that you've been down in that.
So I just want to kind of talk about kind of origin stories, how you came about, where you started. I know there's a lot. I know from reading previous interviews, there's a big kind of backstory behind how this party came about and you and your family. And if you can share that, that's cool. If you can't, I don't mind. And then how the party came about and how it kind of those kind of first steps, basically.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm never since I was a kid, I was just fascinated by rave music. You know, since I was about 9-10 years old, I remember being in junior school. My friend used to nick his older brother's rave tapes and sell them to me for a couple of quid's worth of dinner money, you know. And I just remember hearing this crazy, bleepy, fast, breakbeat-driven music and just being absolutely blown away by it. So I started going down to my local record shop every week, buying vinyls and, you know, to buy the old rave videos and actually watch just videos of people raving. And just, for me, that was just crazy. You know, I absolutely loved it. And as I grew older, I started going raving to places like the Sanctuary by the time I was about 16. It become a way of life for me. So I always absolutely being fanatical about rave music, and you know, to then sort of you know, over time, I started handing out leaflets outside the raves afterwards to try and get DJ bookings as a 17-year-old kid, and you know, started DJing a bit. And
so, what sort of years were these?
Say again?
What sort of year was this? What sort of when we talking?
Early noughties. So
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, when I started going to the sort of Sanctuary and stuff, you know, it was a really good time for raving, and I think probably caught the tail end of things when, you know, people weren't running around with mobile phones filming stuff because it was pre-camera phone days, you know. So, you know, and you know, actually, I didn't actually have a mobile myself at the time. So, you know, you'd meet someone at a rave and, you know, you might see them again, you might not. There was no social media or anything like that. It was all
yeah.
And stuff. So, you know, so yeah, good times and stuff. And then, you know, over the years, you know, I started putting on some club nights. I did set up a business like many years ago, and you know, it turned over a lot of money, but it wasn't actually a very profitable business in the end at all. So, you know, I had a real kind of rocky road starting out my career, you know, as an entrepreneur, and you know, actually ended up losing quite a lot of money with the first company I set up. And you know, then I was in the wilderness for a few years and had to go back to a 9-to-5 day job, and you know, but the whole time I had this love of music and DJing. So I just thought, you know what? I thought, fuck it, I'm going to do something that I love and something I care about. Because the problem is maybe I've been, you know, worrying more about trying to earn money in my career rather than actually doing what I truly love and care about, which is music.
Amazing.
So I didn't have any children at this point, and so I started promoting club nights, and you know, I was doing little club events and you know, little DJ competitions in like 100 capacity bars and stuff like that. Started off at the Square Bar in Camberley, which is an absolutely wicked venue, really small venue but fantastic place. We sort of started off, and you know, over time that sort of grew organically, and then in about 2013, I got a real break, and we managed to get the hire of the full venue of Cable in London. For those that remember that, that was a real
a great venue.
You had Ministry, Fabric, and Cable. They were the big three in London at the time, and we absolutely smashed it. It was bank holiday, Easter Sunday, and we, you know, I mean, absolutely full to capacity, and you know, I've never experienced anything like it. You know, because we got Hotson's 82 just before he blew up. We booked him just before he sort of got you know, a sort of a lot of publicity through you know, Radio 1 with the central mixes and stuff. And you know, obviously because we got him early, there was a really good booking fee on it. It made it a really profitable event. And it was like, you know, when you watch a documentary about you know, it was the closest thing I've ever experienced to when you watch a documentary about the acid house era and people talk about the Summer of Love vibe. It was a vibe that I don't think I've ever been able to experience again from a sort of over 18s perspective. You know, it was so many people there. We were literally, you know, stuffing. So there was so much cash to be taken from one end of the club to the other. I just remember stuffing up my jumper and trying to carry it through with like 2 security either side of me, and we were just, you know, not in a particularly fit state, trying to work out the money in the back room, and you know, and G4S took it away, and you know, it was just a really, really amazing event, and you know, people dancing on the speakers, and you know, it was nuts. You couldn't move in there; it was so busy, and so you know, I felt like I kind of broken into, you know, where I wanted to be as a promoter at that point. Cable offered us a string of dates, and you know, we had some good relationships with agencies and artists at the time, but unfortunately, they, you know, because of the big redevelopment in London Bridge, we lost Cable, and you know, they lost their license, they lost the venue, they lost their lease. It was all gone as quickly as the success came. The rug was swept away from beneath my feet, and you know, I was kind of a little bit back to the drawing board, and you know, and again, then I was sort of trying to find venues that you know, I could recreate that vibe with, which I found very difficult. So it was a really difficult time actually, because you know, the next show I put on, again, I lost quite a bit of money, and so you know, I was trying to work out what to do next. But at that point, I'd actually, in the back of my mind for a while, I still felt quite confident. I'd had a couple of good shows under my belt. I grew up listening to Raver Tots, and Fusion was one of my favourite brands. And I tried to get hold of the guy that used to run Fusion in '92, and through a mutual friend, I managed to track him down. For those that don't know Fusion, back at its peak, they sold out Wembley Arena. They had the likes of Cold Heart, C. You know, a really big kind of roster of old school rave DJs, you know, Seduction, you know, DJ Vibes, Druid. So it was like a real kind of old school rave brand, a real authentic brand. And after a little bit of negotiation, we managed to agree on a deal, and I resurrected the brand Fusion, and that went on to have a string of successful events over about a 5-year period, where we were doing over you know, 1,000 to 1,500 people per gig, and they were really, really good shows. And you know, a lot of people, the best compliment people were paying me was saying, "Look, coming to these gigs is just like being back in 1995. You know, it feels so authentic. They're really good." So I built up this good database and network of like venues and DJs that were sort of like old school, and you know, and I felt so happy to be doing what I loved. And you know, then I found out I was going to become a dad.
Nice, what?
So you know, it was you know, a surprise, but a very happy surprise. I wanted to become a dad for a long time. The problem was, I'd say that my life was a bit wacky at the time, and I was probably a little bit more living the party lifestyle, for want of a better expression, and everything that comes with running club shows when you know, you're young and you're single, and you're out drinking, you're out hours of all the night. And in many ways, I'd say that this, you know, it had some really, really good times, but obviously, I think what goes up has to come down, and some people seem to be able to cope with that lifestyle for a long time without having any negative side effects. But unfortunately, I'd say I'm probably not one of those people. And you know, I'd say that you know, the effects of the late nights and the you know, smoking, drinking, and everything else that comes with it, I'd say was definitely taking its toll on me. And you know, I wasn't in a good place at the time, and I actually did surprisingly get a diagnosis with adult ADHD when I was 26, which I wasn't kind of expecting. But it did make a lot of sense, because I had quite a kind of tumultuous childhood, and it was quite rocky in certain parts. I used to get into a lot of trouble and things, and, you know, and you know, my life, I suppose, in some ways was a little bit messy when I found out I was going to become a dad. So I decided that, you know, what I needed to do was maybe to sober up, you know, and gradually I gave absolutely everything up, and instead I took up running. Because I had
I do that. I do that.
Crazy amounts of energy to burn off.
Yeah, I do it. I love it. But I've not run for now 9 weeks because I've pulled my hamstring, and it's driving me up the bloody wall, because when you drive, I drive past people and I'm like, I can't run, I can't do anything, I see them running. I'm just like, oh, I've got runner envy at the moment. It's just annoying.
Yeah, I've had it before. I know what you mean, because I remember I had a chest infection before a half marathon. It was one that used to be next to my old flat, and I saw the runners turning up for a really big event, and I had to just sit there and watch, because I couldn't even run 5 minutes down the street without my chest feel like it was going to cave in. So I feel your pain. I know what it's like, but you know, you know exactly what I mean then, because it's a chance to like really burn off some energy, and I felt like, well, I'd given everything up. You know, it was a very difficult time to sort of go through that transition into becoming a father, but I decided to totally clean things up and just start a new way of life. And you know, I carried on running the sort of over 18s gigs, and yeah, I mean, you know, very very quickly I found out we were going to have a second child, and then we actually had separated before. You know, the birth of our second child again, you know, was an unexpected surprise. But you know, we made it work, and we worked out a co-parenting scenario, and it's actually worked out absolutely for the best, because you know the kids are really lucky to have kind of two homes and two loving parents that get on very well. So you know, we see it as a very positive thing, and we sort of embrace the experience of shared parenting in the modern world, and you know, remain very very good friends, and I believe a solid family. You know, which I think is a really you know, positive thing. But I think for me it was a real shock to the system at first, because you know, I found myself sort of on my own for half of the week with a baby and a toddler, you know, a newborn and a 2-year-old, and
I do exactly the same as well.
Yeah,
so I co-parent as well. So
no surprise you're into the running. Then you've probably got to let off some steam somewhere along the line, and so you get what I mean. And I think, you know, my life had changed so dramatically that, you know, where you'd gone from like the party lifestyle of being out till, well, you know, your rave's finishing at 6 in the morning, and you're probably going on to an after party or someone's house and carrying on for the next day. You know, you've gone from that to suddenly I wasn't doing that anymore. I was on my own with a couple of kids, very young children, and my priorities had changed. So, you know, I'd heard of like different family festivals and things being around. I remember just having a chat with someone one night at an event, and we were talking about these things, and you know, I'd heard of different things going on where like kids and parents can go together. Obviously, there's lots of festivals that have been around for a long time, and it just clicked in my head, and I just thought, I have to do something like this. I have to do something where I can involve the kids. I went home and I almost knew, like, no, this is going to be something. And this was about 2 years ago now. And so I went back and I started, you know, I just got a blank sheet of A4 and started writing some ideas down, and you know, that sort of developed. And the thing is, I'd had, you know, by this point, I'd had a lot of ups and downs in my career, and I think, you know, in many ways I've always been very much throw myself in at the deep end and hope for the best. But having been stung a couple of times, you know, when I was starting out working on my own, you know, I have had a failed business before, and I've had events that have lost money, whether they've been a success for the punter, sure, they've had a good night, but it doesn't necessarily mean the event has always been a financial success. So, you know, having been stung a couple of times, I was a little bit cautious, you know, and I thought, well, you know, I think it's going to work. I'm 99% sure. There was that little bit of, you know, should I do this? But I thought, right, I'm going to get stuck in. So I put the first event on almost 2 years ago now, in July 2017 in Aldershot. And that was at an old rave venue called the Rhythm Station. And we had about 300 people down. I filmed a video, and we put the video online. And
what was the capacity? What was the aim for that?
You can get 500 people in there, and I'd sold about 300 tickets for the first.
Well, that's amazing.
So yeah, it was okay, you know, and it made a little bit of money, but you know, the idea was just to test the water and see how it ran, and you know, a lot of lessons learned from that day, like, you know, giving myself a bit more time to set up and stuff. I think I rocked in about an hour before the event trying to run the whole thing, which is just the most preposterous thing in hindsight. But I mean, you know, we made it work. It was a great event. We filmed it, and that went out online, and within a couple of days it had gone viral, and we'd had a couple of million views.
Shit.
And that led to loads of people just saying, look, come to this area, this looks amazing, come to that area. So I thought, right, that's it, let's roll out a bit of a tour. And then off the back of that, the BBC News saw the video and came down to an event at Canby Theatre where we had Nicky Blackmarket playing, and you know, that got some great exposure. You know, that led to so much for us. Opened up a lot of doors having the BBC News. You know, did it as a kind of good news story at the end of
yeah, of course.
9 o'clock news or whatever it was. So you know, and they did an online feature, a really nice 2-3 minute little mini documentary feature thing, which was great. And so many doors.
So I was going to say, for those that don't know, the ones that I've been to, I've been there 2 hours in the afternoon. Full energy, cannons, explosions, treats on stage for the kids, fully involving the kids. Was it that the same right back at the start? Has it always been that kind of same pattern, or have you evolved that how the setup of the event goes?
It's evolved and it's got a lot more polished, and I've invested a lot of money in production and stuff. I mean, those that don't know, I mean, the concept behind Raver Tots is very much going to a daytime rave, but it's family friendly where you can take your kids. And, you know, I like to think that it's more than just standing in an old nightclub that's open in the day, because we put a hell of a lot of time and effort and energy into the production of the event, and making it a multi-sensory experience. So there's a bit of a carnival vibe when you go in, and there's
it really is
enormous CO2 powered confetti blasters going on. Sometimes there might be pyro, sometimes you've got huge bits of decor going on. There's play areas, there's loads of exclusively signed DJs, and really authentic DJs as well. Anything ranging through Brandon Block to Nicky Black Market to the Wide Boys to Artful Dodger, Pied Piper, DT, lots of old house and garage names, rave names, drum and bass names, fantasy, Harry Shotter do quite a few for us. And this is just, it's gone on and on, right to the extent that we actually ended up, we've done over 40 different cities. We've sold 100,000.
Amazing, well done. Amazing, that's amazing, man, well done.
We've now won 2 awards and been finalists in 2 other categories as well. Won an award for Best National Family Event and Business Star of the Year. So it's just gone absolutely crazy in terms of the press coverage. And I think across all of our social platforms now, it's had about 15 million views of all of the videos. Like I say, 100,000 people, and that has led to us running Raver Tots festivals. I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. But I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. But I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. But I love you. I love you. South End, which is our sort of flagship event. We've just sold out for the 2nd year running with 5,000 people, which has a free fairground ride, a huge marquee which has got a massive lineup, and it includes collaborations with the likes of Garage Nation, AWOL, Fusion, a really good lineup of DJs like Wide Boys, Brandon Block, Fantasy, Nicky Black Market, loads and loads of others in there. There's all sorts of other stuff going on outside of the fairground. You've got loads of play areas, you've got base painting, you've got crazy golf, you've got go-karts, you've got a whole multitude of food vendors, a licensed bar, base painting, glitter artists. You've got crazy circus act stuff going on, giant circus style big top tent, an amazing festival production, pyrotechnics, confetti explosions, CO2 jets, flame explosions. So it is just an incredible event, and it really has started from absolutely nothing. I mean, the first event I put on, I spent £1,000 on it, and it's turned into this giant festival thing in the space of 2 years. So I've had to really throw myself into it and make no mistake. I think it's been a matter of, there has been a lot of hard work and blood, sweat and tears go into it. And it's exhausting sometimes because I've been juggling it with family life, and it's not been something that's just sort of happened on its own. I think it's been a matter of, a lot of preparation and time and having the right contacts and been working in that field already, but, mixed with the sort of dedication of being a father and the opportunity that's arisen from all the sort of press attention that it's had, putting it together. We're really fortunate that we've had a lot of success with what I believe to be a really exciting brand. So, for anyone that's watching, if you haven't been down before, do come down and check it out. If you've got kids in the family, you've got, if you're a parent yourself or a carer, or if you've got a niece, nephew, a younger brother, come down, and it's suitable for all ages, and they are really, really good fun. And the chances are we'll probably have one in the country that is not too far from you at all. So do have a look on the Raver Tots website and Facebook pages.
Yeah, and I'll link that below in all the cards below so that people can get those links. Firstly, congratulations on selling out. That so impressive that it's now got to 5,000 people. It's incredible, man. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
Like honestly, it's amazing what you're doing, and the part, like I said, me and my daughter have been to a couple of parties They're amazing fun. They, like you say, multi-sensory, and it's from all ranges of kids. It's not just, the toddler kind of. My daughter's 7, so she's really into it. But then I've seen areas with little babies having in certain areas. It's really cool. Face paints, mad. We absolutely love it, man.
No, that's wicked. No, I'm glad you do, and we do. It does mean a lot for me. I think that's the main thing I've always said, which is experience before profit. And if people can go away knowing that they've had a good time, then that's what really makes it worthwhile. Because behind the scenes, it is event management can be a quite a stressful job, and it's a lot of long hours, and a lot of people think that you're just chilling out and you just rock up at the weekend. But there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes in making the events run. And what makes it worthwhile is to see parents and kids making memories together that are going to last a lifetime. Because everyone remembers their first rave, and everyone probably remembers a school disco. But did you ever, had we had the opportunity to go to a proper rave when we were kids, I don't think that's something you would ever forget. And I see people just having the most magical moments because kids feed off their parents being happy, and when they're young, I did a parenting, a voluntary parenting course a little while ago, which was really interesting. And one of the things they said is that young kids, to a certain age, they don't want money and things and objects and material stuff. They just want your time and your attention.
I agree completely.
And actually, they feed off your enthusiasm and positivity for something. And actually, if you're going to a party and they see you having a good time, 99% of the time they're going to have a good time too, and that's what it's all about. It's all about bonding together through music, making memories together and being happy and having a good time. And we're showing people that, rave music is not necessarily all about rocking up at 6 a.m. anymore. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go out all night to enjoy that kind of music. You can go and enjoy that music in the day now. You can do it with the kids, and you can do it sober, and you can have a bite to eat afterwards. If you're a lover of that music and you just think, I just cannot face those late nights anymore, then this is for you, and they're really good fun. So thank you for saying that, because it really does mean a lot.
I remember when the first one I arrived at, and I didn't know what it was going to be like. I kind of rocked in, and I went through the door, and there was jungle playing, and I was just like, we're at this level. We're at this level, like you would expect it, like 5 o'clock in the morning, like, we're at this level already. Right, let's go. Let's get involved. And I really like what you just said then about time and making memories. I fully love all that. Like, that's for me the biggest thing about parenting is you make memories and you spend time and being present, not just presence. It's just I love exactly what you just said, man.
No, it does. It does make I think that's one side of it we like to encourage and promote. So but like you say, it is all about the authenticity of the music. We're not about you'll never hear a song like Baby Shark at one of our events. It's not what we do. No. It is all about having a proper, genuine rave with genuine, credible DJs, promoters, collaborations. Like I say, we collaborate a lot with the likes of Gary's Nation, AWOL, Jungle Mania. These are all brands that we work with. So, I think, for that reason, I think a lot of the brands like to collaborate with it, because there are other things that are knocking about for kids and families, but I don't think any of them, maybe this is sometimes perceived at the slightly more trendy end of it because of the collaborative brands, partnerships that are there, and it makes it more appealing, I think, to the parents to hear that kind of music. And when they get there, there's so much entertainment for the children to have a good time with. So it's like, it really does tick all the boxes, and it's, a rare event where the parents and the kids can enjoy it as much as each other.
A lot of it for me is that the music's playing is when the parents will started going out the first time. So it's nice nostalgia for them that they're going out to the same music they used to go out, but also the kids are really jumping around, and that loads of that music is so energetic as well. And it's obviously then that breeds more energy from the kids and the parents,
That's it, yeah. And I think, so that's a sort of side product of doing these events. I've decided to put a lot of energy into raising money for charitable causes. This was the other thing. So the diagnosis that I got of ADHD some years ago, made me realise that actually there wasn't really any support or help for what I was going through at the time, which I could get without having to actually pay for it. And actually, I found that quite frustrating. And I thought, if there are other people that weren't in a position to do that, I think they could have easily gone in the other direction and had a lot of troubles and things. Without going into too much detail about any of my personal past or anything like that, it's needless to say that if you do stick at the party line, lifestyle too long, it will take its toll.
Yes.
And there doesn't seem to be, and it doesn't seem to be a lot of support, on the NHS. And I think although, for sort of, mental health stuff is getting better in this country, but it's still a hell of a long way to go. So I've used it as an opportunity to raise some money and awareness for children and adults with behavioural differences like autism and ADHD. And this year we're working with a number of different children's charities as well. So, it's raised thousands of pounds for those causes over the last couple of years. And the reason for doing it is very personal, because I was a kid that had those difficulties, and there was not really anything to help me. So now we've got this wicked party going and this growing business. I thought, look, let's put something in, let's give something back. Let's not make it all about me or the business or the money. That's not what it's about. It's about people having a good time. Can we give something back to people? And I feel if we do those two things, and we really focus on those two things, I believe that everything else will follow in the right direction. Success will follow. So far it's been a really good couple of years, and I do hope that that continues, and the sort of momentum we've got carries on in the same fashion. And we've got lots more plans for charity fundraisers and lots of things to do. And I'm speaking at an event for a charitable trust launched called Nutritious Minds, which supports healthy lifestyle having a real big impact on children and adults with ADHD. And I'm doing kind of talk about how I've kind of transformed my life through health, really.
That's great.
More than anything, because I was given all these different kind of medications, and for me, they might help in some ways, but they cause difficulties in other. And actually, the best thing was getting away from all the stuff and going out and running, and actually focusing on something that you're passionate about, like this rave thing and the family thing, and actually that has done more to transfer my life than any packet of tablets ever could. And so it's actually promoting that kind of thing of a healthier lifestyle, and how things can be turned around from bad situations to good situations with the right mental attitude. Without getting too philosophical, but there is a kind of side story behind why Raver Tots has come about and why we support the charities that we do. And a lot of it really is just trying to build on, I suppose, my own experiences and my own mistakes as well, and share those with other people. So, hopefully people might find that of some use, and at the very least we can give a little bit to charity and put on a good party as well. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been really nice to sort of read a lot of the positive comments that we've had back from it and stuff. So yeah, like I say, hopefully we can keep up the momentum.
Yeah, inspirational story, man. It's you literally just built this thing out of nothing. It's crazy, but also stayed in what you knew, and stayed in the music you knew, and stayed in the genre. But then it's just adapted as your life changed, and kind of obviously took what you were doing before, but now into more that works for you now. Really inspirational.
Yeah. I suppose I'm just a bit too set in my ways now. I don't think I'll ever give up my vocal tapes. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. From what we've been doing recently on Data Transmission is trying to inspire young kids and try and inspire people to go further in music. I just want to kind of just talk about a little bit about promoting in general, and kind of just see if you can give some tips to, if people were starting their own events right now, what would be your advice, and what would be your kind of, advice to them to help them get further quicker,
I think the difficulty when you're starting off as a promoter, as I found 10 years ago, is it's not like, if you wanted to train to do a lot of professions, there are clear guidelines of how to train for it. There are courses you can do, but there doesn't really seem to be anything like that around as a sort of promoter, really. And I think a lot of the time you have to kind of learn your trade, off the cuff, really. There are certain event management courses out there, but I think, it depends what field you're in. If you're in the niche of, dance music, rave music, whatever it might be, sometimes I think the best way to cut your teeth is by putting on shows yourself. And you've got to get stuck in at the deep end. If you're going to take risks, and sometimes the risks aren't always going to pay off. So you've got to make sure those risks are calculated. If you do have an event or a project or a business idea that hasn't gone to plan, I think the most important thing then is to not be so damaged by it that you just forget about it forever. You've got to dust yourself off and get stuck back in, because, you know, they say that the path to success is like an upwards trajectory, but it's not. It's actually like, you know, all over the place. You go up and down, and then you go backwards and go forwards again. So
yeah, I agree.
Have a crazy journey along the way, and you know, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. And actually, I've learned a lot more from when things are going bad in my life than when things are going good. When things are going good, you're like, well, why is this happening? What's going on? But when you're having a bad time, something doesn't go your way, whether it's in business, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in anything in life, there's always a lesson to be learned from it. So take those lessons, you know, and learn from them, and pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and just get stuck straight back in, because it really is that tenacity and willingness to kind of learn from your own mistakes that will carry you through. And if you are tenacious and you stick at it, then you know, there are you know, really rewarding careers that you can have. So you know, yeah, I would advise anyone just to give it a go, really, and just keep your eyes and ears open as much as you can.
That's a lovely way to end. And thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, me too, man. I loved it.
Wicked.